So I've beaten Kingdom Hearts 3. I played it on my vacation so I could finish it in time for you goblins. And I gotta say, I didn't hate it, like a lot of you guys probably thought I would, but I don't really know if I like it. As you guys know, I am a reluctant Kingdom Hearts fan. I loved the first one back when it came out, and I've played every game since then with the hope that I could relive the magic of that original experience. And no game has even come close to recapturing that feeling. And this one is no exception. I give Kingdom Hearts shit a lot of the time, but damn it, I can't forget when it used to treat me good. Now this game does a lot of things right, and it improves on a lot of things that Kingdom Hearts has struggled with before. But this game also brings in a whole new batch of issues that I could not have anticipated and that I cannot ignore. So we're gonna look at everything. Now, I'm not going to give this game a number score because I think in this case, it's more important to talk about each part of the game individually and break it down piece by piece. Enjoyment of this game is reliant on a lot of factors and a lot of separate pieces of context, and just slapping a dumb score on it honestly means nothing. I'm going to try to tell you if the game is for you or not, whether you're a longtime fan or a newbie. Oh, and I'm not going to spoil anything until the end, because the last quarter or so of this game is completely different from everything that came before, and I'll warn you when that happens, so don't worry. Okay, so first of all, let me give the biggest praise I have out of the way right now. The game looks really good. It's really pretty. This game has a very distinct style that makes it look equal parts Final Fantasy and Disney. The colors are even brighter than usual, and the character designs are sleek and distinct. There are many times where the cutscenes will look just as good, if not better, than the movies they're based on. The animations aren't always as stiff and awkward when the characters are talking. There are a lot of cute animations in the cutscenes alone to make them more bearable. The worlds are way bigger than they ever were before, and they're much more detailed. For the first time, there are actual NPCs walking around in major cities or towns. Sometimes you can hear these NPCs chatting and talking to each other. This is way different than how Kingdom Hearts used to work, and seeing an NPC was pretty rare. Another thing I love in this game is the directing on some of the scenes. It's weird using the word cinematography when talking about Kingdom Hearts cutscenes, but there are a few scenes where the presentation is so good that it manages to be moving without the characters having to say anything. However, there are still many scenes where the dialogue is delivered in a sterile and static manner, with characters literally just standing around and delivering their lines in the most lifeless way possible. This is par for the course with Kingdom Hearts, but since the game does have moments where this isn't the case, it makes these moments stand out even more. Like, there are moments where this game breaks out of the traditional bad Kingdom Hearts dialogue meme, but then it just goes back to its old habits right afterwards. As you can assume, it is incredibly frustrating. And yeah, the dialogue is still as bad as you've come to expect.
It's not the sum of our parts. It's the sum of our hearts. Yeah!
Now, I'm not here to talk about how dumb the story is in Kingdom Hearts. I made a whole video about that a while ago. But if you guys know me, you know that I love good writing. It's my #1 criteria in most of my reviews. I talked about it in the last video, but in my opinion, Kingdom Hearts 3 actually does have some of the better writing in the series. It's still not good, but when you compare it to the other stuff, it does stand out as being a noticeable improvement. There has been an attempt to address a lot of the bad storytelling choices made by earlier games. They don't shy away from the convoluted concepts, but they're more likely to try to explain some of them, but only some of them. This game does reference the past a lot, and if this is your first Kingdom Hearts game, you are not going to have any idea what is happening. I mean it when I say literally every single Kingdom Hearts game has a significant role in this game. Now honestly, I thought I knew everything, and there were still moments where I had to pause and draw out a little map of how things were supposed to make sense. One thing I do really like is when characters mention how dumb the story is.
Huh? Now who?
There's a really good joke in the beginning of the game where they show a logo for Kingdom Hearts 2.9 before you see the Kingdom Hearts 3 logo. I like cheeky shit like that. I also really like how the characters will actually talk while you play. This is common in like every game nowadays, but it's new for this series. Hearing Donald and Goofy chime in when you're running around does make the game feel a lot more personal and natural. And while we're on that subject, the one bit of writing that's actually good all the way through is with Donald, Goofy, and Sora. For the first time since Kingdom Hearts 1, our main trio have amazing chemistry, and their interactions are actually really cute. You actually really feel like they're best friends, in a way that's slightly reminiscent of Final Fantasy 15. Sora isn't really overly concerned with Kairi or Riku in this game, so he has more time to be a more independent character. And I feel like this is the game where you can actually get a real sense of his personality. Because in the other games, he's basically just good guy who does good things. Here you can see more of his flaws and personal desires. He feels like more of a real person. However, the same cannot be said about anybody else. Unfortunately, the other characters are mostly flat. Either dudes who are evil for almost no reason, or good people who have no flaws or personality. The exception to this is Lee.
Call me Axel from now on.
Sorry, Axel, who's actually pretty cool in this game. Now, I wasn't a teenage girl back when Axel was introduced, so he never really did anything for me, but in this game, he's honestly one of the most fleshed out characters. I won't really spoil anything, but just know that if you already like Axel, you'll be happy with him here. And if you don't care about him, then you might get your mind changed like I did. Like I said, the rest of the characters are all pretty weak though. Aqua doesn't have the presence that she had in previous games, Mickey always feels out of place for some reason, Kairi still has no personality traits, I'm gonna talk about her later. Riku is cool but doesn't get much to do outside of the last few levels, he's kind of wasted in this game, and everyone else is just here to fill a role in the story. But the worst examples of flat characters are found in the villains. It's easy to see that most of these bad guys are basically the same character, and that's not just because half of them are the same character. But as far as motivations go, they're mostly just evil for the sake of it. Now, this is a simple good versus evil story, so I don't really expect them to be the most complicated characters, but what bugs me the most is how they aren't really that much of a threat. In every level, they show up, make fun of Sora, and then they leave. You don't actually confront any of them until the last few bits of the game, and most of the time you see them, they aren't really in any rush to get anything done. Sometimes they literally say that they have no reason to be in some of these worlds. They'll basically say, oh, we're here to see if there's a Princess of Heart in this world, and if Sora's here, we're gonna call him a nerd and then summon a monster and run away. That's basically how every single world goes.
This is the part where you spout some mumbo-jumbo and disappear, right?
There's a surprising lack of tension or urgency in this game, and it's weird because this is supposed to be the grand finale. And this leads to the actual finale feeling rushed and not earned in the slightest. As a whole, this is a problem with the entire story. It doesn't really feel like this is the end until the actual end gets closer. I hate to bring it up, but Mass Effect 3 is a good example of how you create the tone for a game that's supposed to finish a series. Even if most of the game is butt-ass, the build-up and tension is pretty good. You almost always feel like you're heading towards the finish line, and that's not the case here. It's hard to feel any urgency when the entire plot is, hey Sora, we don't really know how to beat Xehanort, so can you just fuck around for a few hours and learn some new powers until we figure it out? I'm not kidding, that's the plot of the game. It's safe to say that outside of the few moments between the main worlds, the story is kinda lame. And I'm not talking about how it's silly and doesn't make sense. I'm saying it's boring and not a lot happens. At this point, I would kind of prefer if the story was stupid and crazy and didn't make sense, because it's better than just being dull. And I should probably mention that reenacting the Disney movies in this game is kind of the worst thing ever. In this game, they changed it a little bit, so you end up playing the entire world from beginning to end in one go, and then you don't really have to go back, as opposed to other titles where you might do half of the world and then come back later to finish it off. Now, I'd say that both methods are the same overall length, but in this game, the levels really drag on. There's a lot of needless dicking around here, and it's rarely enjoyable. The story rehashing from Tangled and Frozen are way too overindulgent. Yes, you have to watch a shot-for-shot remake of Let It Go in this game. There's also one hilarious scene in the Frozen level where they're singing Do You Want to Build a Snowman?, but Anna is also talking over the song, so you can't hear anything that's happening.
I never see you anymore.
Years passed and we barely ever saw each other. Then, finally, it was time for her coronation.
The worst case of this is with the Pirates of the Caribbean level. Now, many people have already complained about this level, and yeah, it's pretty bad. Honestly, for me, it's tied with Frozen for being the worst level in the game. Because this isn't even one of the good Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I mean, there's only one good one, but still. And if you've never seen the movie, they don't give you enough context to understand any of it, because Sora's not even there for most of the stuff that's happening. So basically, if you've never seen this movie, you will have absolutely no clue what's going on. Not to mention, it also has long, slow underwater segments and really bad ship combat. I wouldn't really mind if the ship combat was just a little part of the level, but you're going to be doing this for most of the time. It's apparent that in a lot of cases, these worlds could have been trimmed down. However, there are way less worlds in this one, so it feels like they really wanted to pad the game out with as many artificial game lengtheners as possible. Kingdom Hearts is known for having pretty shitty minigames, but they're usually not this frequent. In the Caribbean, you have to collect 300 fucking crabs for Jack Sparrow. In the Frozen world, you have to rebuild Olaf in what is probably one of the most audibly annoying Kingdom Hearts minigames known to man.
I'm over here.
I'm over this way.
That's Olaf's voice.
And it doesn't help that the first half of this game is piss baby easy. And this is where I'm going to start talking about the gameplay. My relationship with the gameplay in Kingdom Hearts 3 is turbulent. I played on the hardest difficulty available, and sometimes I had fun, but sometimes I wanted to take a nap. Now, I like Kingdom Hearts combat, but I also really like tight gameplay, and this game honestly does not have that. Combat is certainly flashy and crazy, but there are way too many gimmicks and a lot of player choices stripped away as opposed to with older titles in the series. There's a really good video by Bloody Biscuits who illustrates this problem way better than me. Go watch it because it's good, it makes sense.
The games simply aren't focused on building a good risk versus reward relationship with the player, and instead are designed to make the player just feel flashy.
But my main problem here is with what I've already mentioned, a lack of player choice. In Kingdom Hearts 1 and the harder difficulties of Kingdom Hearts 2, you have to take a careful approach to the combat encounters. Kingdom Hearts 1, for better or worse, is the most dependent on using a different fighting style for different enemies. Sora isn't as overpowered as he is in later games, so there's a strong emphasis on deflecting attacks and evasion. He can't power through everything by mashing X. Anyone who's played Kingdom Hearts 1 knows this. The higher difficulties of Kingdom Hearts 2 are similar, and even though Sora is really strong in this game, you can actually make unique builds with the abilities and fight the way that you want. Each form that you unlock has a specific purpose, and you're encouraged to experiment. In this game, all of that is kind of ignored, and the game becomes more akin to Dynasty Warriors, where you mow down hundreds of enemies per level without any concern with what abilities you're using at any given time. Every ability you unlock is just another way to enable you to mash X a little bit better. And yes, mashing X is nothing new for Kingdom Hearts, but there's a way to make it work well. In Kingdom Hearts 2 you had the reaction commands, and on critical mode you needed to master each unique reaction to each encounter if you wanted to survive. Those are gone in this game and replaced with unique forms or finishers, and these are usually just more ways to do large amounts of AoE damage without really thinking about it. You just press triangle, watch something cool and crazy happen, and then you recycle that for about 20 hours. I can say without a doubt that after the first few hours of this game, I began to hate the Disney attraction abilities. Most of them are just a simple minigame that deals out way too much damage. And they appear way too frequently. It's very common to be engaged in combat for a few minutes before realizing that you have about 3 or 4 finishing moves stacked up. The problem is there's no point in the combat where you have to think to yourself, oh, which one should I use for this situation? You're just going to use all of them. I think the solution to this problem is to make the player select which one they want to use and then get rid of the other ones. Only let the player pick one ability. If Sora just had one meter that controlled these transformations, if you could only choose one thing to do, much like how, say, the drive meter worked in Kingdom Hearts 2, then things would be much more balanced and fun as a result. Now, no, games don't have to be super difficult, they don't have to be Souls-born hard to be fun, but when you remove choice from the gameplay, it becomes less of an interactive experience, and I think that's a problem. Now, yeah, if you like mashing X and doing crazy flashy combos, that's perfectly fine too. I mean, I like doing that sometimes. The Keyblade transformations are pretty cool, and I appreciate the effort put in to make most of them feel different, but they don't differ all that much, and some of them have the exact same transformations. I'm not trying to say anybody's stupid for having fun playing this game. It can be fun, but just not fun for everybody. I've seen people argue that the combat is repetitive, and I've seen the same amount of people say the combat is the best part of the game, so hey, whatever. In my opinion, the combat does feel like a bit of a step backwards for a game that's over 20 hours long. However, again, the last act of this game does have some differences, and I'll talk about that later. I honestly found myself just running through the later Disney levels so I could get to the ending faster. Near the end of the game, you can feel the story really moving around, and you start to feel like you don't really want to run around with Baymax anymore. It just really feels like there's a big divide between the beginning, middle, and end of the game. And with that, we are now going to talk about spoilers. I'm going to spoil elements of the final levels and talk about what worked and what didn't work. If you want to skip to my final thoughts on the game, hit this time code. I'm warning you now. I'm going to talk about spoilers. Skip it if you want. I'm talking about it right now. Here we go. So once you finish the main Disney worlds, the game takes a complete and total shift in content. And it honestly feels like a completely different game, though I can't say that all of that is in a good way. Now, this is common in Kingdom Hearts games, as the first 3 quarters are usually dominated by Disney worlds, just to have the finale take place in a unique Kingdom Hearts specific place. But in this game, it feels like a vast majority of the plot is backloaded into these final levels. And I honestly really don't like that, because it makes you rush through the first 80% of the game just so you can get to the stuff that actually matters. Normally, Kingdom Hearts games have like a middle point, where something big happens, you have to fight a big battle or go to a unique level, and then you continue the adventure until you get to the end. This middle point is important because it escalates the events of the game, it makes things a little more serious, and it makes you want to keep playing. But this game doesn't have that at all. It just kind of fucks around, and then you get to the end, and then everything happens. Now, if you don't know, the goal of this game is for Sora to save the people who have been trapped in various dimensions or in various people's hearts over the course of the series, all while trying to stop the big bad guy from doing something. Now we have like 6 or whatever people to save, and you don't start saving them until you're done with the Disney worlds. And then when that happens, you just start grabbing them up like it's nothing. And like I said before, it makes the finale feel kind of rushed. Not a lot of time is spent on moments that should be emotional. For instance, when Aqua is finally saved and then saves Ventus immediately after, she doesn't really even seem to give a shit, because we don't have enough time to devote to this moment. Ventus doesn't even really seem to care that he's out of his fucking coma. This is their interaction after having not seen each other for like 10 years.
Good morning, Ven.
Good morning, Aqua.
It's bullshit. Also, real quick, I love how Aqua says she doesn't want anybody to save her or help her during this fight, but then she gets knocked out and has to be saved anyway. But nothing is as bad as what happens right after that. Our heroes decide to head to where the bad guys are so they can have one big final battle. Except it doesn't really feel like they're heading to the final battle because we don't see anybody preparing or interacting with each other. We only know this is the end because Kairi tells us so. And then she pulls out the fucking Paopu fruit. Now, if you don't know, sharing a Paopu fruit in Kingdom Hearts is supposed to be a super intimate and personal moment between two people. Yes, it's just two people sharing a fruit, it's probably not that serious, but the fact that Sora never gets the chance to do it with Kairi because they got separated for years is what makes it significant. It represents how distant they are from each other all the time. This one brief moment in the ending of the first game is so incredibly moving just for these reasons alone. And in this game, the moment isn't given any weight or significance at all. It's as dry as cardboard. I literally felt nothing while watching this. And not to mention, Kairi is the most underused and underdeveloped character in the whole game. She spends the entire game training off-screen, and when they get to the final battle, she doesn't do shit. And then she gets kidnapped by the bad guys. Are you fucking serious? They're doing the damsel in distress bullshit with Kairi again. Along with the tonal inconsistency, there's a general pacing problem that persists throughout this whole game. Some important moments don't get time to shine, and events don't really play out in a satisfying way. By the time you start seeing some old characters pop up one after the other, it stops being significant because you can kind of anticipate it. I think it would have been cool if after every cluster of Disney worlds you get a fun story moment or a boss fight to keep the story moving at a steady pace. Kind of like every other Kingdom Hearts game ever made. Would it really have been so bad for them to save Aqua a little earlier in the story? I think it would have made things a lot more interesting. I was just really confused to see the organization members not really bothering Sora too much outside of being mean to him occasionally. But then I realized why this was the case. It's because they were saving them for the end. Before the final level, you only fight one organization member, and it's because the final stretch of this game is just an insane gauntlet where you have to fight everyone. And this is the shit that I love. It's great because it pleases every kind of Kingdom Hearts fan. It's pure fan service with matchups that are straight out of Nomura's fanfiction notebook. And not to mention, each boss has beautiful renditions of their old theme songs. It's also the first time you have to actually fight your hardest. With all of the mobility options you've unlocked, you have no reason to even touch the ground and things feel a lot more fluid. But it takes a long time to get to this point. I was sleepwalking my way through the first 2/3 of this game, but when I got to the last encounters, I actually had to do everything I could to survive. So again, your mileage may vary because yes, the last quarter of this game is actually really good. But everything else, it could use some work. The last chunk of this game is just balls-to-the-wall action, and in many ways it makes the weak earlier parts of the game less annoying. But it's pretty hard for me not to look at this game as a whole, and overall it makes me wish that Kingdom Hearts wasn't forced to adhere to the old formula of padding things out with dumb shit. Because when you play the game, you can see that they actually did try really hard, like a genuine effort was made. I won't say how the game ends, but I will say that I'm actually among the few people who liked the ending. So no, I don't totally hate the game, but it is super flawed, and I think it's only fair to point that out. A flawed game can still be fun, so don't think I'm shit-talking your baby when I make fun of this game. So should you play Kingdom Hearts 3? Well, the answer's kinda complicated. If you've already played every game in the series, then you probably have already played this game and you're just here to yell at me. If you haven't gotten to it yet though, yeah, you'll probably like it. It has enough fan service to make most of the stupid shit more bearable. And I say that as someone who appreciates the fan service. Now, if you've only played a few of the games and you don't really know or care about the story, then I'm not sure if this game's gonna change your mind too much. This game is very much mostly for the hardcore fans. The gameplay isn't quite deep enough to be satisfying for the entire 30-hour experience. And if you've never played a Kingdom Hearts game in your entire life, I don't know if you'll like this game. This is the finale to a very long series, so don't expect to understand a goddamn thing. If you jump in and expect to understand this story to a game with this much lore, then you're a goofball. If you don't really care about the story and you just want to engage in cool combat, then maybe you'll like it. And it really depends. Again, this is a hard game to review. But yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, I'm not going to give this one a score. I like the last quarter of the game and a few character interactions, but the game does get super repetitive and the gameplay doesn't have that last bit of magic sauce that I desire. So, yeah, I don't know, I guess 9 out of 10, it sucks.